Thanks, Lee Carl. We'll have the second part of this series later this week. And now it's time for Jamila Russell and The Bottom Line.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of The Bottom Line. I am Jamila Russell. Politics is in the air, thicker than ever, and if I were a weatherman, I would predict smog caused by the individuals that will soon be politicking across these Virgin Islands. Tonight, I'm going to give a brief synopsis of what we can expect during this political season. George Orwell wrote a book called 1984, and in that book, there is a fictional language of newspeak. And in newspeak words, we must be wary of those politicians that are guilty of duckspeak. Duckspeak is literally when one speaks without thinking. You're saying, that's nothing new. It happens all the time with our political leaders. While that is true, and those guilty of duckspeak are found quite often in the Virgin Islands, they're also guilty of belly feel, the blind, enthusiastic acceptance of an idea. If you listen to the Senate hearings, you have heard examples of belly feel. Then there are those like myself whose thoughts are unorthodox and outside of the official government platform that are very guilty of thought crimes. While I enjoy the world of fiction, I must depart from it and enter the realm of reality. In the real world, there are those politicians that have not done anything during their term in office, but come this election year will proclaim to have done a whole lot. These armchair politicians, they sit and talk, but take no action to realize their ideas or to propose meaningful legislation will be countless. The fabulists will come out and let us know all that they have done, all by themselves without any help or votes from any other member of the legislature. Then we will be spoon-fed pork barrel legislation. There will be appropriations after appropriations to fix roads, purchase supplies, to name structures and roads after prominent and not so prominent Virgin Islanders, and resolutions honoring many, even your pets. Spoilers will enter the race just to draw votes away from viable candidates, and there are the pacemakers that will be in the race early and will fade towards the end. Then there just might be the dark horse that enters the race and wins it all. This happened last election. Be afraid, my friends, be very afraid. The bottom line is that the political season will be the most interesting and filled with lots of excitement. We must all study the incumbents and their records, get to know the candidates and their political philosophies, and vote your conscience. We will all know someone in the race personally, or will be related to someone, or think someone is really popular. However, don't vote for them because of those reasons. Bankum will be prevalent. Elect persons who will work for you, their true employer. This has been Jamila Russell. Tune in next time for another edition of The Bottom Line. Good night.
Thanks, Jamila. And the expressions of The Bottom Line are not necessarily those of WSVI Television's management and paid sponsors. Stay with us on Channel 8. We have more news up next. Well, Public Works Department has an answer to the complaints in Williams Delight. Let's take a look.
Good day. I'm here with Assistant Commissioner Cintran from the Department of Public Works. We were here about 2 months ago. He gave me an update in terms of what was projected to be done. I know there was a lot of underground work that was done in terms of drainage, but I know today we had a scheduled day to come back and give me an update since the work has been started.
What we're doing throughout these roadways is that we're actually going down up to 22 inches, almost a couple of feet, and we're taking up the clay material that's been beneath these roadways. Clay is an elastic soil. It's very bad for roadways. Had we paved on top of that, it would have caused damage to the roads down the road. But here we are ripping up roads and installing curb and gutters where people already have water lines. It's been there for years. So it is very difficult. We're running into problems, but we're going to get it accomplished. This contract is a 5-month contract, but as I mentioned, with the rain delays, it's probably going to be extended. People may have the perception that it's going slow, but it is not. There is a lot of work with ripping up what's there and placing back subbase. What we're looking at here is type F curb and gutter. What this does is keeps the water off of the roadway. Asphalt and water do not mix. If we had water running across asphalt for a long period of time, it causes running, it causes potholes. So what we're going to do here is we're going to slope the road towards the curb and gutter, and we'll have the water traverse the curb and gutter rather than the roadway.
It may seem like a slow process, but I know we made a commitment when Governor DeYoung and I decided to run. we made a commitment. If we're going to do any road improvements, it's going to be done the right way. You might not see the work above the surface, but I know you all have done a lot of the drainage, which makes a difference in terms of moving the water. And the people need to understand that that's what we're committed to. If we're going to do it, let's do it the right way. It'll be a waste of time trying to just do overlay. That was done in the past for several years, and the residents actually suffered in terms of the water flooding.
Here we have an example of where we're digging up a lot of the clay material. We can see the excavator working away, digging out the clay material, and what they're importing is the rotten rock material, which contains the blue bit stone within it. As they're bringing this in, we have the track excavator spreading, and behind me we also have a roller compacting the material in place.
So I want to put out a plea to the residents of Williams Lake. Give us some time. We're doing it the right way. Like Assistant Commissioner said, we're taking out the soft clay and we're packing it with the solid stone. Because the key to the whole thing, if you have poor drainage, it's going to happen again and you have the same problem, and it's a waste of money. So we're going to do it the right way.
The horse breeders on St. Croix have some updates for you on the latest news at the Randall Doc James Racetrack.
VI-Tober is holding its first annual racing activity and training seminar. The purpose of this is to bring horse owners and the general public, so the general public to understand what economic impact the racing industry will have on the Virgin Islands economy. The racing industry represents $102 billion economic impact on the U.S. economy. It represents 20% of the GDP. The racing industry is labor intensive. It will create jobs. We have to invest in the infrastructure in order to develop the racing industry. 70% of the racetrack in North America is owned by governments. The government of the Virgin Islands own one of the greatest racing locations in North America, period. Facing the Caribbean Sea, across from the airport. Clinton Phipps Racetrack is also owned by the government of the Virgin Islands. We have to invest from the inside out. The industry, the racing and breeding industry will create jobs. Gaming and horse racing farm a union about 17 years ago. Gaming has been an additional revenue stream to be able to sustain the racing industry, period. VLT in the Virgin Islands in St. Thomas is providing additional revenue to retirees. But yet we have some retirees that is receiving a cost of living increase from the gaming revenues from VLT, but yet they are willing to say they don't support VLT and the island of St. Croix. We in the Virgin Islands, as a matter of fact, we in St. Croix have to realize there's a time and a need for more revenue in this territory.
And when we come back from this break, we'll take a look at your Sports 411 update with Stephen Kufrancis.